as we continue this new series from the Old Testament regarding the experiences of the ancient people of God. And we know that what happened to them, according to the Bible, was for our example. In other words, they had experience before they had the theory, and we have the theory and the experience, and so we have been blessed to have a more greater reason to trust and to rely upon God as we live life and, and go through our service and stewardship unto Him. Today, an unexpected choice is the topic of our lesson in the student guide. And this is just one of many examples in the Bible that teach us about the preeminence of the will of God. We say customly in this country anyway, if not everywhere, that the Lord's will must be done. And that is absolutely true, that His will shall be done. But there is a difference in what the Lord Prayer teaches us, the verse that says, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." The difference is, in heaven, the only will that's being done is the will of God. But here on earth, there are many other wills that are being done on planet Earth. Your will, my will, the will of the adversary, Satan, and all of those things. But above and those other wills, God's will always prevail because, amen, because He's God. Now, this record is about how the will of God was accomplished concerning the birthright of Isaac. There was a tradition and a custom of the ancient people regarding the heir of the estate of the father, and it was a practice that the oldest, the firstborn son of any family in that day, Gentile or there were no Jews until Isaac, but Gentile or Jew, that this was the way that birthright was established, the firstborn. But we're going to see in our lesson today this familiar story. It won't take a lot to talk about this, because this is one of those things that most Christians are thoroughly familiar with, about Esau and Jacob. Amen. But today, this lesson does affirm that it was predetermined by God that Jacob and not Esau would be the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now remember, God is immutable. He does not change. He does not change His mind. He doesn't deviate from what His will is. And so the big idea of this lesson, by the time we get through it and everything, is if it was not God's sovereign will, predetermined in eternity past, that Jacob and not Esau would be the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, the sons that from which the 12 tribes would come, then it would not have happened that way. And so we have a laboratory experience so that we can see how God can orchestrate the events in history to accomplish His predetermined sovereign will. Now, the character of these two brothers and the evil circumstances of how Jacob came into possession of the birthright were simply the means by which God's sovereign will and His ultimate choice was accomplished. Obviously, if God did not intend for Jacob to be the father of the 12 sons from which the 12 tribes of Israel would be formed. Then he would not have been. Jacob did not acquire the birthright of the firstborn by natural means, but it was because God willed it to happen, and his will was enough. Although the integrity of Rebekah, Jacob's mother, is a key factor in the story from the human perspective, and what she did to conspire to gain the birth